Hey, what's up, world? And welcome to CMJ World Vlogs. And today I'm going to be talking about some Jonathan Major stuff. I kind of like slacked on this one. I wanted to talk about the verdict and everything else. But since the interview came out, by the time I'm recording this, it came out today. But by the time y'all see this, it's going to more than likely be the next day or whatnot. But so he did a interview on ABC, and he was talking about it. This is the first time that he came out and he was like just giving his thoughts on everything that happened. Because if you've been paying attention, he hasn't said a word, or we haven't heard a word from him, not on social media, not on anything. And so ever since he got arrested, we haven't heard anything. And this is the first time him coming out. And I didn't even realize it, but I was watching a video and they pointed out that ABC, of course, Disney owns ABC. So the first time that he's coming out is on a Disney product. So maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe it's not. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Matter of fact, let me write that down. But I wanted to just kind of get into what my thoughts were about his verdict, and just what I thought about the interview and what he said and everything. I'm not going to run down everything because a lot of it is basically just run of the mill, like you would expect him to say, or how you would expect him to act. But we did get some new information or whatnot. And so I haven't really been too close to like following the court and everything. But from all the information that I was given, well, that we were given, that was made public, it doesn't seem right. Now, I've had conversations with people that was around me, and I'm kind of two minds about it. But overall, I think Jonathan Majors was due a disservice, if I can call it that, and a dishonor. And you could say some of it was due to him. I know a lot of people was like turning up their nose at him or whatnot, but I'm looking at it like this. So anybody that like knows me knows that I don't immediately go for the race card. I try to avoid that unless it's just unavoidable, right? And so, but when I look at this whole thing revolving around him and the case and everything and just what it is, I can't help but to look at it from a racial standpoint. You got a guy like Ezra Miller. And don't get me wrong, it's different circumstances, but you got a guy in Ezra Miller. And I don't even think that he's like Caucasian. I think he's like mixed with something or whatever, but he's close to Caucasian than Jonathan Majors is. But you get him doing all type of stuff, assaulting people on camera, threatening people, like literally evidence where I think he threw something, a stool at a woman's head, had a big gash on her face, alleged kidnapping and grooming and all this stuff. And this guy hadn't did not one lick of time or had to endure any trial. But you get a guy like Jonathan Majors, who basically all the evidence. Now, what you might think about him in the recording, the text messages that were like between him and Grace Jabari, whatever you think about that, we're focused on the case, right? We're focused on this trial. I can admit that the text messages don't make him look in a great light, So I don't know if he is an abuser. He said in the interview that he wasn't or whatnot. All we have to go off is what we heard. I mean, of course, there were more women, or allegedly more women that came out that are willing to kind of like testify or put up something against him. But I don't know if that. As of right now, none of that has really gone anywhere. I may be mistaken, but I don't think anything of that has gone anywhere. But when you look at the evidence that was brought forth, it does show him like forcibly trying to put her in a car. But that's after the events of him getting a text message from a girl that he was more than likely cheating on his then girlfriend Grace with, and because she found out, she's the one who got aggressive. And within that, you got the driver who can testify that he didn't put his hands on her, that she was the one who was getting physical. He was defending himself. And in trying to put her back in the car was, I'm guessing, trying to get away from her. And as we can see in the video of him running blocks to get away from her. And what type of abuser is going to do that? Now, that's just how I'm looking at it. You know, you have a guy who is like physically, actively trying to get away from a abusive situation from a female who is trying to chase him down, more than likely to continue a physical fight with this guy. And so, even with all that evidence, and he has evidence of where he was scratched by her, showing his physical marks, and it's showing that like that was inadmissible. Why was that inadmissible? But you used her gash behind the ear and her broken finger as evidence. Why was that? When it's clearly like it shows that she was perfectly fine when she ran into the group of people. That if she had a broken finger or this and that, you would think that they probably would have took her to the hospital, right? No, they took her out to go clubbing. So she spent the rest of the night drinking and clubbing, using the hand that was supposedly broke, or, you know, with the finger that was supposedly broke, and had a great night. But yet, this guy is looked at as an abuser. When you have evidence all against her, she's been arrested, but yet no charges have been brought against her. But yet, we're looking at this guy as a guy, okay, yeah, we're going to look at him as an abuser. We're going to look at him as a guy that everything was wrong. Despite what she did, he was in the wrong completely. It's I can't help but to look at the parallels of a black man and a white woman. That you got this white woman who has blood on her hands, you know, figuratively, and they're just wiping it off like, okay, we're going to get you cleaned up. But then looking at him and be like, you got blood on your hands, let's lock you up. I think the one thing that Jonathan Majors, one of the mistakes that he made was he should have called his lawyer before he called the police. It's like, that's one mistake that he should have did. He should have called his lawyer before calling the police, because we see how that went down. I'm pretty sure that hopefully nothing like this happened again. But if anything similar were to happen, he need to call his lawyer first. Yo, this is what's about to happen. Like, this is what happened, blah, 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 da, da, da. Okay, I'm about to call the cops. I'm about to call a 911, ambulance, whatever. Cool, whatever. But that was, I feel like that was his mistake, right? And for him to be convicted on, when I ain't gonna say convicted, but for the verdict to kind of, I guess you could say, convict him of 2 out of the 4 charges, basically saying that like he didn't intentionally hurt her, but he accidentally, I guess you could say that. That's the best way I can put it. But he did it nonetheless. And I'm just like, that's wild. That's wild that this woman on video, it shows that she's perfectly fine after the encounter or altercation with him. But yet, this guy is over here losing brand deals. He's losing millions of dollars. He got fired from Disney. He's losing all this stuff. And before he even got fired with Disney, because like I'll give it up to Disney. Disney held out. They wanted to see what was going to happen with this verdict. And they held out. Now, I'm pretty sure that they learned their lesson with James Gunn, not to, no pun intended, jump the gun and, you know, just take action. They wanted to see how this is going to pan out. And so I understand why Disney dropped him. I understand it. It's business, reputations, and just associations. I get it. So I'm not blaming Disney. I'm not being mad at Disney. Like, oh, Disney, da, da, da. Like, it's business at the end of the day. They have bigger fish to fry as far as movies not doing good and everything else. So they don't have time to deal with Jonathan Majors. That was just something else that was going to pile on what they had. So I can understand them trying to get away from that and just how it all ended up. So I don't blame them. But it's so weird that this guy who has all this evidence from both sides showing that she did all this stuff to him, got arrested, and no charges brought against her, but everything on him sticks. He got hurt with pictures, but they're inadmissible. She gets hurt with pictures, and it's evidence. Like, that's so fucking weird to me. It's so weird. And what else do I get? I think, and he made, as far as the interview, let's get into that. He says a lot of stuff that you would think that he would say, you know, that you, of course, you know, whatever. But he made a point where he was like, he was asked if it was racial, if he thought it was like a racial thing. Which you, like I said, you can't help but to look at it that way. And he made the point that, like, let's reverse the situation. What if it was a black man chasing a white woman? What if it was him chasing her? What do you think the cops would have done? What do you think people would have thought? They would have thought, oh, he's trying to be an abuser. Let's say he didn't have anything on his mind to put his hands on her. But just the sight of seeing a black man chasing a white woman, he probably would have been killed on sight, he said. And I can agree. I honestly can agree. Like, it's so nuts how this all turned out. And I said, like I said, I'm not the person to be quick to go for the race card. But when you're looking at a person like an Ezra Miller, even though their situations do differ, you're looking at Ezra Miller. Like, if you're not familiar with who Ezra Miller is, which you probably are if you're watching this video, but if you're not, he's the guy that played Flash. And just look it up. Just punch in Ezra Miller, criminal charges, whatever. Anything that's related to crime. And you will see all the shit that he's done. This guy has not been in a courtroom, has not served a lick of time or anything. And it's so nuts. But you got a guy like Jonathan Majors, a rising black man, a rising star, who was only going to shoot up far, past the moon, all that stuff, who finds himself in a situation like this and everything's just blown up. And he talks about how the interviewer asked him, like, do he want to work in Hollywood? Do he see himself working in Hollywood again? And of course, you know, all this, like, this is something that he's great at acting. I'm pretty sure he loves acting. He's great at it, so of course he's going to be real good at it. Don't go for everybody, but it's weird. Like, I hope that everything kind of gets better from here. You know, he gets his comeback story because he is a phenomenal actor. And like I hinted, like I stated before, and I know I'm jumping around here, whatever. But like I said before about the whole text messages and voicemail or, you know, recording or whatever, text messages kind of sus. That's why I said it doesn't paint him in the best light. I'm not even going to defend it. Him telling her not to go to the hospital and just in the language and that was talk. If you haven't read the text messages or whatever, just look it up. You'll see it. Doesn't paint him in the best light. It does paint him as an abuser or whatnot. And even talking about him killing himself. They did address that in the interview where he said that, like, I mean, just like with everybody. Doesn't matter the status, how much money you have. You're human, you know. And he talks about how he's had bouts of depression and everything else. So that is believable. But, like, honestly, you still can look at that as a manipulator. But I'm looking at it as, yeah, it doesn't pay him in the best light. But the recording, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I look at it as him, and I don't know if he can say, I don't know if I can say that he could have said that in a better way. But when you listen to what he's saying, he's telling her that like he's conducting himself in a certain type of way. So the women that he's with and the people that he's with, that he's associated with, he wants them to conduct themselves in a certain type of way. You know, he doesn't want to be like this. He's this guy, he's doing great things and everything else. And then he has a party girl on his hands. This girl is at the clubs, getting drunk, probably getting arrested, DUI, and all that stuff. Because it's going to look bad on him. It's a reflection of him, who he's bringing into his life. And a lot of that can reflect on his jobs and what people are going to think of him. So he wants a girl to reflect what he's doing. Even if she's not on his level acting, so you don't have to be an actor or anything else, but just conduct yourself in public and, you know, around people that's in a classy way. And I don't see anything wrong with that, to want a person to act a certain way, because unless you're just a toxic person and you like that, if you're a person that's working on yourself and you're trying to build something, you don't want a chick that's going to be toxic, that's going to try and tear it down, that's going to embarrass you. And you know, it's just, I can defend that. Text messages, not so much, but the audio recording, definitely. And like I said, going back to Disney owning ABC, I don't know. Like, I'm hopeful. I have it in my little kind of like hopefulness that the reason why he came out and spoke to ABC, which is owned by Disney, is that Disney hasn't given up on him. Now, it could have been a coincidence where it's just, this probably was the best thing. Maybe his lawyers or, you know, his people, maybe his agent or whatever, then told him, like, look, we got you an interview with Disney, with ABC. We think that you should do this because this may end up putting you in the good graces, no relation, good graces of Disney, that maybe at some point or another, they might bring you back on. If it's not to play Kang again, of course, not anytime soon, even if he doesn't get convicted, which, you know, or, you know, sentenced. I don't think he is. I hope he's not. If he is, then that would be just so crazy. I think I would be really upset with that. But I think this is their way. If Disney isn't really just like, we're just going to keep you close because we have faith in you. We see everything that's happened with you. We haven't given up on you, which I hope it is the thing. And they're just trying to still paint him in the best light, you know, in a certain type of way from a distance, but they're still keeping an eye on him. Or it's just his people and him just trying to still be in Disney's good graces, you know. And either way, it still brings hope for him as far as being in something that's going to, like, you know, keep him, that's going to make him have a good comeback. If that makes sense. So hopefully that's what it is. But yeah, this whole thing just reeks of like just racism. I can't help but to look at it that way. You know, you have a white woman who's basically saying, and even just the stuff that she said in the beginning, where she, I guess, essentially was telling them that, like, oh, it wasn't his fault, he didn't do it, da, da, da. All that was just, they didn't give a fuck about that, you know? And it's like they just look at it. White woman, white defenseless woman against a big black guy, you know? And it's just, it's so weird. Like, I'm so disappointed within this. But I'm going to end this video. And I'm going to just say that, like, next month is the sentencing. So we'll know if how long he's going to be sentenced, possibly up to a year. So hopefully he has to do no time. Hopefully they look at it as, you know, this is unfortunate, but we don't think that it's that crazy for you to be behind bars. You know, hopefully it's like that. And they did mention in the interview at the end, the interviewer said that him and his lawyers are going to appeal. So hopefully everything works out. Hopefully he doesn't get sentenced. and they appeal, and the stuff goes through because something needs to happen on her end. You don't have all this evidence against this woman and don't use it. It's an injustice. That's all I can say. It is an injustice for this to be what it is. But yeah, so with that said, I believe that's it. That's really all I had in my notes. Maybe I think I remember saying something about the driver or whatnot. The reason why he didn't testify because he was going to say the same thing that the driver was going to say, so it wasn't no need for it. But I believe that was just a play with his lawyers. Told him like, look, we're not about to have you on the stand. You know, maybe they thought that it would go better if he didn't testify. Maybe in hindsight, maybe they're looking back like maybe you should have testified. Maybe you should have said something. But either way. I feel like just looking out everything panned out, and even back in the beginning when everything was happening, I just feel like this is going to end the same way. Unless something spectacular happened, I don't think that they were going to like not, convict him or something. So, but in any case, those are my thoughts on the Jonathan Majors interview as well as the conviction and everything else. So as further news come on, I'm going to not report it, but I'm going to give you my thoughts, especially when we find out the sentencing, if he's going to go to jail or not and everything else. Like I said, hopefully he doesn't, but I'm going to make a video then when that comes out, and that will be next month. And hopefully he'll get an appeal and things will work out differently. But in any case, that is it for this video. I'm going to talk about what Disney may end up doing with Kang and what they should do, the rumors and everything else. But that will be on a Take One Daily. It won't be a CMJ World MCU. Wow, I'm tired. But it won't be on a CMJ World. It still will be on this channel and all that stuff. So look out for that. And I will catch you guys on the next one. So peace out, stay safe, and yeah. Injustice. Yeah. Anyway.